Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys, California. Before I begin, give all praise to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives us more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past, in order to understand events that are currently happening on the earth, so we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Brethren, we're going to get like I said, a lot more understanding as to why we have been written out of absolutely everything. We have been written out of history, out of prophecy, out of music, out of science, out of mathematics, out of being the builders of this world, of astronomy. We've been written out of astrology, science, absolutely everything. The hijack is just so deep and profound. It's absolutely amazing. I'm going to share a couple of things with you this evening, and I suggest you, do a little research on your own. Because, like I said, you're now being exposed. The Most High is opening up our minds to so much more. More understanding from the scriptures, more understanding from the other books. Many are still being stuck trying to follow the Gentiles and follow their lead at this time. But we have moved in the time of Aquarius. We don't need the Gentiles to lead us. You need to make sure you put your trust in the Most High and open up your mind, to not be stuck anymore. We must work on healing ourselves so that we can ascend and be closer to the Father. We can't always just get caught up with being reactionary to the things that our enemies have done to us. We must learn how to tackle our emotions and our feelings about how these certain things have affected us, in order for us to deal with these emotions, deal with these feelings, in order for us to ascend to the Father. Getting the information and getting the understanding is just one step. Being awakened, to the actions of our enemies is just one step. It is not the final step. Once you get that understanding, we can continue with that information, but we also need to work on dealing with the emotions that goes along with that, healing the hurts that have plagued us from generation to generation. That's all part of ascending and ascending and getting closer to the Father spiritually. Now we're going to take a couple of examples right now of a couple things. First thing we're going to get into right now, I said this just kind of helps you to understand why, and like today's prophecies and everything, like these people don't believe in the Bible. They don't believe in the scriptures. They don't believe in the truth. All they believe is in the reality that they have created for themselves. That's what the Gentiles believe in. Okay? And right here, the natural history of Pliny. We're going to take a look at this one here, volume 6. Just one little part. But this one little part is so profound, and it has so many different tentacles reaching into so many different parts of society and our thinking. Now, like I said, they refer to Pliny all the time in many of their books and many of their research papers. They always go back to Pliny, because they try to make it sound like he was the first person that came up with the encyclopedia. But we know that pretty much he just copied from the Greeks. And we know that the Greeks just copied from the Egyptians. And they copied from the Druids. Pythagoras has admitted that he learned a lot of his information from the Druids. So when you start looking at these books, and we're going to get into some of this information, it's our information. This is how the Most High has preserved our information. He allowed them to get their hands on a lot of it, write it like it was theirs, and disseminate this information worldwide. This goes into all different aspects of life and learning. They got our science, astrology, astronomy, mathematics, music, art, all of these different, aspects of society have all been stolen from the Most High's chosen people. But in their rush to try to elevate themselves, they just took our information, erased, just grabbed a little pencil, erased our name off the paper, and wrote their own. But when you understand that this information was not given to them, then you understand that this was not their information in the first place. And when the Most High decided to, awaken us after our punishment, he was going to definitely point out that this information is not theirs. That's why you don't see them trying to defend any of this, this information coming out. They're not trying to debunk it. Just like, just cracking up, checking out Stone's video the other day, talking about the natives. All of a sudden now everybody wants to be a Native American. Oh, I got Native American. I got the first peoples. That was my grandfather. He was a Cherokee. Oh, my wife's, dad was a full-blooded Cherokee. Oh, the mom was this and the mom was that. It's like, it's amazing to watch because you can see them trying to respond to what's being brought out without really responding. He was talking about the natives. Then he, segued into talking about so-called African Americans. And yes, they've suffered, but we don't want to talk about that right now. I was cracking up with Stone was talking about, well, the Native Americans, yeah, the white man came and stole their land and stole their resources, but I really don't want to get into that right now. You see, that is all white supremacy. White supremacy is, yeah, I know I did all these things wrong. I know my ancestors did all these things wrong, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want you to bring it up. That is because you seem to feel that you don't have to atone for any of these things. You don't have to answer to anything. You don't have to answer any questions. That is all part of white supremacy. The fact that you seem to think that you can just tell us what we will talk about and what we won't talk about. And then I crack up with well, we're all going to be in heaven together. So you better just, you need to learn how to forgive. You need to learn how, to forgive and to move on, because I didn't have slaves. My dad wasn't racist. My father, he would have beat me if I had, said anything, used the N-word. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's you guys want to be you want to be able to tell us how to respond, how we should feel, what we should be angry about and what we shouldn't be angry about, how we need to forget. You're trying to tell us how we need to respond to how we were treated. See, those times are over with. You dictating how we should respond, how we should feel, what's right, what's wrong, that is all over with. Now, see, you're going to see something here real quick. These are the mental gymnastics that the other nations have done, in their minds in order to validate, in order to excuse many of the things that they've done. They have erased ancient history. History just seems to has began for them when the Greeks got on the scene. And anything before that doesn't matter. Check this out. Talking about instances of immense wealth. Persons who have possessed the greatest sums of money. Now, according to the Bible, we would have thought that would have been like Solomon, Abraham. They possess all this, this wealth. Maybe even Enoch. We don't even know because they don't give us all the information, but all the nations of the world bow down to Enoch. They elevated Enoch to be their king. We know that Solomon had these great mines, gold mines of Ophir. We know that he was doing, business all over the world. David, King David, the Most High blessed his people with the best lands, the best resources. So it makes sense that some Hebrews would have been some of these people with immense wealth. But what do the Greeks do? What do the Romans do? They're like, well, we can't be giving them that kind of credit. We can't be talking about how the Most High has blessed these people. We can't talk about how the Most High has elevated the Israelites above all other nations on the earth, because supposedly we're all equal, right? But in the Bible, it tells you that He has elevated one group of people over all the other nations of the world. Correct? All the other nations. Let's go to Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So if the Israelites have been elevated to be above all the other nations on the face of the earth, wouldn't it make sense then that the Israelites would have immense wealth? Some of them would have been very wealthy. But see, the Gentiles want to hide all that. So what do they say? How are they going to twist all of this around to make it seem as if the Greeks and the Romans were the ones with immense wealth? This should be pretty entertaining to see the mental gymnastics they're going to have to pull. How are they talk about, remember, when in 1492, when Columbus came over here, he saw all the wealth that the Israelites had over here. They called them Aztecs, Mayans. When they were talking about all the wealth, all the gold, the cities of gold they were looking for. If these people had all this wealth, why would they be over here looking for money if they were so rich? And when the Spaniards went to Peru, they were talking about all the wealth that they had. The gold. They had gardens made out of gold. They had immense wealth. And that's what they were chasing after. Why would they be here chasing after wealth if supposedly the Greeks and the Romans had all this wealth over there? They had all this money. Why would they be coming over to the New World looking for gold, looking for money? You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. But check this out. What do they say? The ancients had no number whereby to express a larger sum than 100,000. And hence, it is that at the present day, we reckon by multiples of that number, as for instance, 10 times, 100,000, and so on. For these multiplications, we are indebted to usury and the use of coined money, and hence to the expression of as alienum, or another man's money, which we still use. So they're trying to say that the ancients could not express any larger sum than 100,000. So therefore, since, the ancients were idiots and they didn't know mathematics, and the biggest number they could get to was 100,000, then they didn't have the kind of wealth that people like the the Romans and the Greeks, because they had coin money, as if we didn't have that, I guess, before. You see what I'm saying? Like, these are the kinds of things. So therefore, now all these people in ancient history who've been wealthy individuals has now just been discounted and just discarded by the Gentiles. All because supposedly they couldn't count above 100,000. So now they're just going to start with, other Greeks and Romans, and those are the ones that had immense wealth. And before that, the ancients didn't have that. They couldn't count. You see the things that they've done. Now you fast forward to today. This is exactly why we are not even thought of in prophecy. Because they have gone out of their way to just discard us as a people and having any authority or having any significance whatsoever. This is why everything's going to be a shock to them, because they've gone out of their way to try to hide everything about us and hide how we are the ones that prophecy is revolving around. See that right there? So you keep on going a little bit more. For these multiplications, we are indebted to usury and the use of coined money, and hence too the expression "aselenium" or another man's money, which we still use. In later times, again, the surname Dives, and you kind of like you just go down and check out what the numbers about the rich was given to some. Only, because you got 13 right there. You check out down 13, it means the rich, okay? Was given to some. Only be it known to all that the man who first received this surname became a bankrupt and so bubbled his creditors. Okay? And let's see here. M. Crassus, a member of the same family, used to say that no man was rich who could not maintain a legion upon his yearly income. He possessed in land 200 millions of sesterces, being the richest Roman citizen next to Sylla. Nor was even this enough for him, but he must want to possess all the gold of Parthians too. And yet, although he was the first to become memorable for his opulence, so pleasant is the task of stigmatizing this insatiate cupidity. We have known of many manumitted slaves since his time, much more wealthy than he ever was. Okay? And so what we do is we'll stop there. You can check this on your own, but remember, Pliny is used, he's referenced all the time by many of these people, by many of these people who are writing papers, these college professors, they're always referencing Pliny. And these are the kinds of, these are the kinds of examples or, excuses they use for the things that they believe. I mean, any regular person would figure like, hold on. These people could calculate stars, distances to the stars. They could calculate eclipses. They could calculate all these things with these astronomically huge numbers, in space. But for money, they just couldn't figure out anything higher than 100,000. You see, I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. These people were building these enormous cities, humongous cities, pyramids, underground cities, but they couldn't figure out any numbers higher than 100,000. When the Europeans got over here, this world was so much more advanced than anything that they had ever seen before. That's what the conquistadors were telling each other. That there was nothing, they had seen all these things that they had never even seen before, couldn't even imagine. But supposedly these people were idiots and couldn't think of anything higher than 100,000. You see what I'm saying? Like, this makes absolutely no sense. But this shows you why their prophecies are failing. This shows you why, their understanding of scriptures makes no sense. Their religions make no sense. And this is why anyone who's still paying attention to their breakdowns is really mentally challenged. Because like I said, you're limiting yourself to what these people have told you. And you're afraid to think for yourself. This is why they resort to fear. You're going to go to hell. If you question what I say, you're going to go to hell. If you believe that these people could count over 100,000, you're going to go to hell. Because once it gets exposed that their reasoning makes no sense, they can't defend it. So therefore, they got to pull out the fear card, and that's what they're going to roll with all the time, or the silent one. They're going to play dumb, which as you can tell they do often. If you're still stuck with 80 books only, if you're still stuck with only the books that these people have pretty much approved for you, then like I said, you deserve what you get. I say because these people are being exposed every day, more and more, to have absolutely no understanding whatsoever. Now, like I said, this is just talking about money. It goes deeper. Okay? Even in art, what I'm seeing, we're going to take a look at this real quick. I want to say right here from Michelangelo and the Sistine Chapel. And you take a look at this picture, I think one thing is God and Adam, and they're supposed to be touching fingers right here. I think this is drawn on the I'm gonna say the roof of the or the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. But if you take a look at how they show their God, it actually looks their God is the brain. It's showing you like it's like a brain right here with the stem and everything else. And I was watching this video on Gaia TV. I'm gonna have to actually go into it a little bit more in depth. I just wanted to kind of just touch on it, so if people haven't seen this before, they can do a little bit of research on their own. But there's all these secret messages in a lot of this artwork. And when I was watching this video, I just don't remember the name of it. I have to do like another video and kind of go into it a little more in depth. It was kind of talking about how like you have to pretty much ascend, like, raise your consciousness in order to open up your pineal gland. And that's all kind of like going on right here with this brain right here, and different ways of opening up your pineal gland. Right now, the third eye. These are the kinds of things that they're putting and hiding these messages in art. We know damn well that these Romans and these Greeks did not know anything about the chakra system or the pineal gland. So where are they getting this information from? Why would they be drawing pictures like this in the Sistine Chapel, putting these secret messages, in this artwork, but the vast majority of the world has no idea what they're really looking at? See, this is the esoteric understanding. And this esoteric understanding isn't just in the Bible. It's also in artwork. It's also in science, also in mathematics. It's all over the place. It's in everything around us. The vast majority of the world's going to look at this and look at it in an exoteric level. An exoteric. Oh, that's a really pretty picture. Oh, that's God right there. Oh, that's God and Adam. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at how white he is. Oh man, that's that esoteric. That's that exoteric understanding. That's about as deep as you're going to get into this. Oh, it's really pretty. Oh, when I went to church, that was such a great message. Oh man, it was just, it was just so deep. And you'd ask them, well, what did you learn? Well, I didn't learn anything, but it was so deep. It was so, see, that's that exoteric understanding. You just scrape the surface, lick the frosting off. That's all you do. You don't dig deep. But see, now you take another look at it and you see it looks like a brain. And it looks like a way that, the way you need to, ascend past just the exoteric understanding in order to get that deeper understanding, in order to open up your pineal gland, in order to open up your chakras, in order to ascend to a higher level. That's what the age of Aquarius is about. Us ascending and finding our way back to the Most High. Not just worrying about how the other nations are going to have to pay. That's part of it. But we also need to understand that us dealing with ourselves, us working on ourselves, is also a huge part of this. Us awakening to the esoteric understanding of many of the things that surround us is very important. And actually, it's definitely, it's something that you have to do. It is necessary. We have to ascend. And the whole world has been set up to keep you from, ascending. Now, when you start to actually do some research, you're going to start to see a whole lot of secret messages in famous artwork. That's a good video to kind of check out. I was checking this one out right now. You can kind of search it up and look at it for yourself. And what you're going to see is, okay, all these hidden messages in this artwork, where are they getting this information from? Do you think that these Gentiles all had just came up with all this information? Because most of this artwork was from like the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, around the time of the Renaissance or the Rebirth. So do you think maybe they got a chance to see some of our artwork and they needed to whiten it up? So therefore they started to, copy a lot of the same concepts and a lot of the same things that we had in our artwork, and then pawned it off as theirs. This is my opinion, but hey, kind of makes sense to me. Like I said, it wasn't just the Bible that they hijacked. They hijacked many different concepts. And they took it for themselves, They drew themselves into it. They wrote themselves into it. They elevated themselves into our positions, and they still holding on to that even today. So yes, the awakening of the third eye, even in artwork by Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel, okay, over there in the Vatican. So how many other things you think that they've got their hands on? How many other esoteric paintings and information you think they have sitting around the Vatican that many people only look at it on an exoteric level? They just scratch the surface. The vast majority of people, when they go to church, when they read books, when they look at artwork, they're looking at it at a very superficial level, the exoteric understanding, and they connect to it on an emotional level, but they don't go deep into anything. Just like I said, the Most High said in 214, He's going to raise up certain ones that are going to be able to be wise among the people in order to see things like this. You think it was an accident that this picture here has supposedly God right here in the brain and being connected to the pineal gland right there in the middle? Trying to show ways to open up the pineal gland when he's touching Adam right there, trying to open up his mind to think more than just the exoteric, but actually get into the esoteric understanding. So I don't think many people have seen this before, but like I said, I just saw it recently. I wanted to bring this to your attention so you can start to go ahead and start to search and chase after this information as well. This is why we don't need to just be constantly worried about the other nations and how they're going down and they're going to have to pay, and look at the destruction of the world, and this is that. That's all coming. We understand that. But we need to ascend as well. We have responsibilities to grow as well. All praise is the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.